gonna like you.
Somebody's calling my name. Somebody's
You know what I got here? This is the mojo hand. The winning boy's magic. They say there's only one last true mojo left in the world. Take it, baby. Take it and go up there and do your stuff. I'm giving you all the magic I got.
Who's next up there? Who's coming on up? Who's gonna get their head cut?
How about you?
Chicken boy, chicken boy, chicken boy.
As I mentioned near the close of the last record, this record you are now playing is another example of the completion backwards principle.
Well. Who sent you here?
Can't talk, little man?
Oh, bitch.
Bet can't play none either.
I could pull a better cartoon out of my ass. Hey, whoa! Wasn't that great, kid?
But as for me, I'm off to battle aliens on a faraway planet.
It's like a freaking country bear jamboree around here. But don't be reading my mind between 4 and 5. That's Willie time.
Uh-oh. 2 independent thought alarms in one day.
You got that right. Hey, good morning, wood ticks and patriots. Just Jim in the morning on the Just Jim Show. We're glad to be here. You know, I'm live in the bunker at Lake Wisheyebego, and I'm telling you, it's a gorgeous morning out there for the longest day of the year. That's almost depressing. Longest day of the year, and it's June 18th. I find that to be kind of hard to swallow, but hey, it is what it is. There is more stuff going on. I'm telling you, every day we come online, we have no clue what it is that they're going to write overnight. I went and took a look at the Chicago newsprint today, and who the heck is in the business or in the news again? Ex-Chicago journeyman, alderman. Why am I saying journeyman? I'm thinking union. And Chicago Tribune, of course, has coverage of Jesse Jackson Jr. If we both go to prison, I want to go first. Oh, yes, the sacrificial lamb. Oh, lordy. And down in Arizona, you can't, this to me is ludicrous, but we'll talk about it. What the heck? The court in Arizona, citizenship proof law is illegal. Can you believe where our liberal courts are going today? In America, my America, your America, huh? I think we're calling 911 today on this one. And of course, who cannot stay out of the news? But reputed mafioso tip triggers new Hoffa body search over in Michigan with Elvis at the Burger King. This and many more things on the Just Jim Show today. Tuesday. What a great day it is in my America at Lake Wisheyebego. We'll be right back after these messages.
Getting back to school, I remember a teacher that I had. Now, I went through the 7th grade. I went to the 7th grade. I left home when I was 10 years old because I was hungry. And I used to, this is true. I work in the summer and I go to school in the winter. But I had this one teacher. He was the principal of the Harrison School in Vincennes, Indiana. To me, this was the greatest teacher, a real sage of my time, anyhow. He had such wisdom. And we were all reciting the Pledge of Allegiance one day. And he walked over, this little old teacher. Mr. Laswell was his name. Mr. Laswell. And he says, he says, I've been listening to you boys and girls recite the Pledge of Allegiance all semester, and it seems as though it's becoming monotonous to you. If I may I recite it and try to explain to you the meaning of each word. I, me, an individual, a committee of one, pledge. Dedicate all of my worldly goods to give without self-pity. Allegiance, my love and my devotion to the flag, our standard, oh glory, a symbol of freedom. Wherever she waves, there's respect, because your loyalty has given her a dignity that shouts freedom is everybody's job. United. That means that we have all come together. States, individual communities that have united into 48 great states. 48 individual communities with pride and dignity and purpose. All divided with imaginary boundaries, yet united to a common purpose. And that's love for country. And to the republic, a state in which sovereign power is invested in representatives chosen by the people to govern. And government is the people. And it's from the people to the leaders, not from the leaders to the people, for which it stands. One nation, meaning so blessed by God, indivisible, incapable of being divided, with liberty, which is freedom, the right of power to live one's own life without threats, fear, or some sort of retaliation. And justice, the principle or qualities of dealing fairly with others. For all, which means, boys and girls, it's as much your country as it is mine. And now, boys and girls, let me hear you recite the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Since I was a small boy, 2 states have been added to our country, and 2 words have been added to the Pledge of Allegiance: under God. Wouldn't it be a pity if someone said that is a prayer and that would be eliminated from schools too?
At Hoday Gun and Loan, you'll find one of the largest selections of new and used guns in the Northwoods. Beretta, Ruger, and Springfield Armory, rifles, pistols, and black powder. At Hoday Gun and Loan, your gun and ammo needs are covered. We buy gold and jewelry too, and right now we're paying the highest prices in the Northwoods for your gold. Located at 915 Lincoln Street in Rhinelander, Wisconsin. WPEG.net, your local PEG programming content provider. We provide programming in public, education, and government programming for you, our listeners. A listener-supported station. Don't forget, support our underwriters, because they're the ones who care enough to bring you this program. Support our underwriters. After all, they're the ones that keep us bringing this program to you. WPEG.net television network is your PEG content provider in Wisconsin's Northwoods. Public, education, and government programming content is what we do. From city meetings to school board meetings and all points in between, you can count on WPEG.net to deliver the news of your elected officials to you. With WPEG's television network working for your community, you don't have to miss another government meeting or an important school board presentation. We deliver directly to your living room and computer. Tell your city officials that you want to know what they're doing. After all, that's why you elected them. Let your elected officials know that you want WPEG.net television network on your community cable television system today. Call 715-490-2300 or 490-2303 and tell us what you think. Or you can send us an email at pegnews@WPEG.net. WPEG is a listener-supported station. Are you ready for digital TV? Dave's TV is Do you know what you need? Do you have what you need to watch the new digital TV signals? We've been installing antennas and satellite dishes for the past 25 years. From city installations to hunting shacks in the woods, from rabbit ears to 300-foot towers, we've seen it all. No job is too big or too small. Call Dave's TV and Satellite today at 715-362-3001. That's Dave's TV, 362-3001. Do you need a safe and secure place to keep your personal property? Do you want 24-hour lit access to your mini warehouse? Do you want your own lock on your storage unit? Conveniently located at 1647 Menominee Drive in Rhinelander, Wisconsin, Cedarwood Mini Warehousing has exactly what you're looking for in short and long-term storage units. With nearly 200 storage units that provide safe and secure storage for your personal property, Cedarwood Mini Warehousing and Storage will meet all your storage needs with their short-term and long-term rental contracts. Storage units come in sizes from 4 to 6 foot to 12 by 16 for your large personal and household items. For a limited time, get 1 month free with a 6-month paid rental contract. Call 715-366-2260 today to see about availability and current monthly specials. From big to small, we store it all. Call 715-366-2260 today. Prices subject to availability and rental contract. WPEG.net, your local PEG programming content provider. We provide programming in public, education, and government programming for you, our listeners. A listener-supported station. Don't forget to support our underwriters because they're the ones who care enough to bring you this program.
Absolutely right. Without underwriters, we can't go anywhere. Anyway, welcome back, Wood Ticks and Patriots. Yes, that's you. If any of you are not from the city, you know, a lot of you listen are from the city. You don't have a clue what a wood tick is, do you? Or maybe you do. Wood tick is something that latches onto you, sticks its pinchers in you, just like a mosquito, except they're little flat little critters, and they suck your blood. Just like the libtards in America, my America, your America, all you patriots out there. Anyway, we thought we'd go see. I was scared when I did this. I hit the button to go to Chicago, to the AP area in Chicago, and I was, oh, Lordy, I thought, okay, maybe I'll go to rural Illinois, and that'll be maybe not so, I don't know, startling as it were. But what do I see? First thing I see is jury finds ex-Chicago alderman guilty in federal bribery. This is Chicago. This is where old boy is from. With his gang of 8, his gang-style politics. So he's off over in Ireland in a G8 meeting, quote unquote. That number keeps getting bigger and bigger and bigger every time there's a G. It's really a G2 meeting, and if any of you are up on what's going on in the world today, G2 is exactly what it's all about. You could, if you included Syria, it could be a G3, but they're not there. It takes something special to stand out as a dirty alderman in a city. Can you believe what the AP does? This is right out of Chicago Sun-Times. It takes something special to stand out as a dirty alderman in a city that has seen 30 current or former city council members convicted. But disgraced former alderman Medrano managed it Monday when he became the first to be convicted twice in 2 separate counts of bribery. I'm missing part of the article here. Sorry, I printed it out wrong. Let me see if I can go find it quick. I'm reading the Office story. It's just as bad. But anyways, the 59-year-old showed no emotion as 12 jurors stood up one by one. And it's interesting how those kind of demands are placed on jurors. While anonymity is guaranteed throughout the Constitution in many, many things in my America, there are times where pressure, the old thumb screws as they call them, are mandate that people stand up, put their cojones on, and say what it is that they're voting on. Well, here you got 12 jurors standing up one by one, confirming that they supported the verdict that condemns him to another 5 years in prison. Dressed in a slate blue suit, he then fled the Dirksen Federal Courthouse in a hurry without making a comment. Prosecutors hailed the verdict. This This is not one time, but the second, if not the third time, this guy has gone down the judicial road. This is for price fixing, for trying to get a government contract out in L.A. At one point, Madonna was shown suggesting. I'm having trouble talking today. Sorry, folks. During the trial, showed Madrano and co-defendants Gus Buenos Rosto and Jim Barta plotting to pay a county official to fix a contract for Barta's business. At one point, he was shown suggesting the plotters seal the deal by cutting their fingers in a mafia-style blood oath. Wow. And another of the bribe was a golf outing ticket, which was popular in Chicago. This is, business as usual, and it went from Illinois in the Chicago area. Oh, wait a minute. Who came from that city and is now renting my house, my apartment building up in D.C.? Yeah. I wonder if we had any bloodletting on that fiasco. And it's interesting because I'm going to jump in. There's two stories down the road. This right here is going to make a whole lot of sense to a lot of patriots. And we'll lace the bootstraps up today. University of Illinois Chicago professor and former alderman Dick Simpson, who co-authored a study of the history of corruption in the city of Chicago. Madrano was, quote unquote, beyond dumb to try to pay bribes after he had already served federal time. Well, yeah, I served my time. I'm free. I'm a free man. Nobody's watching me. Hello. Lights on. Anybody home? Nah, apparently not. Even take a look at what's going on here. Now, this story will probably hit, the 5 o'clock or 10, maybe not 10 o'clock news, 5 or 6 o'clock news. I'll guarantee it's on Chicago. LS is carrying it. I'm sure they are. This information doesn't surprise me, but it should. And the next story is now time for old Jesse Jackson Jr. His quote this morning is, "If we both go to prison, I want to go first," by Catherine Skiba out of the Tribune. Lawyers for former Representative Jesse Jackson Jr., who will be sentenced July 3rd for looting his campaign treasury of about $750,000. That's $750,000. Said Monday that if both Jackson and his wife, Sandy Jackson, are sent to prison, he'd like to serve first. And it's interesting here. I forgot to show Medina over there. Here he is. This is Madrano. I'm sorry. That's Chicago alderman, ex-alderman, who's now heading off to jail again one more time. And here we had the two fearless leaders, the Jackson pair, $750,000. If you've been found guilty of pilfering $750,000, what do you think the penalty might be? Now, if it was you or me, good old Just Jim, or any of the other people, we wouldn't be able to raise enough bond money to get the hell out. This isn't a signature bond kind of thing, is it? Is it, everybody? Or is it because they're playing the race card? Is it because they're a part of a Jackson family? Old Jesse? Are we still paying dues on father's shirt tails? This to me is absolutely ludicrous. In a filing in federal court, his lawyers also said Jackson Jr., 48, has no income other than Social Security payments and a federal pension. I got to ask $1 million question here. Listeners, are any of you getting Social Security, or were you getting Social Security at the age of 48 years old? What in God's green earth is he getting Social Security for? Huh? Pilfers $750,000. if I wanted to run for office, you think I could raise $750,000? I don't think so. Maybe I could. I don't know. I haven't tried. This is Social Security at 48. Does anybody get that this guy plays the system? Is one of our problems? If he serves his period of incarceration first, Mrs. Jackson would be able to work and could stabilize the family's finances. Well, yeah, she's got a track record too, doesn't she? The defense lawyer said Jackson Jr.'s payments would be suspended if he's incarcerated, but it was unclear whether they met the Social Security checks or the pension. Social Security checks or a pension. They did not respond to requests for comment. Understand? Yeah, we just talk to the hand. We don't need to talk to you today. The family is in, quote unquote, in significant financial peril. Hello? We're going to call 911 here. Have any of you not been in financial peril at some level over the last 2 years, 4 years? This is, his lawyer said he suffers from severe depression and bipolar disorder. Health issues preclude him from working at this time. Well, let's see now. How do we get this past the Social Security Department? Huh? Would somebody call me up, 1-855-490-2300, toll free. Tell me how the hell this gets down the Social Security path and he gets authorized to get a Social Security payment because of depression and bipolar disorder. I'm just having trouble getting my hands around this one. Let's see. But he's stable enough to rip off $750,000. But now because it's all gone. And where the hell did it go? Cars, coats. Living a high life, huh? Living a high life, Jackson Jr. Oh, woe is me. Talk bad and voice an opinion about a Jackson? Suck it up, Buttercup. The request for probation, her lawyer said, was to allow Sandy Jackson to minister to the pain and loss that her children have already suffered and will undoubtedly continue to suffer in the weeks and months ahead. If I got my violin out, I couldn't play a sad enough story. You get no understanding, you get no mercy. You did it, you suck it up, you paid a price. Welcome to my America. Welcome to your America. Oh, but we're going to spend a ton of money on lawyers, 8 of them, standing in line trying to keep somebody out of jail, huh? The request for probation, her lawyers said. Oh, that was already. The Jacksons are too young for Social Security retirement checks, but Social Security pays benefits to people who cannot work because they have a medical condition expected to last at least a year. And certain family members may also receive payment, the agency says. Are you on board with this, folks? Are you honestly on board with this? It's okay in your America? Huh? Come on, Dr. Paul, what is this? What the hell is going on in my America? Jackson Jr. began a medical leave of absence last June. Well, and why is that? Because his proverbial titty was in the ringer. He won re-election in November and resigned that month. Let's see if we can get re-elected just on my old man's name, and then not because I've done anything. Well, wait. I know people in Chicago are going to say he's the next savior coming out of Illinois. Oh, God almighty. And nobody remembers what the hell the last savior from Illinois did to America or is in the process of doing. As sentencing nears, his mental health and financial system are being debated because federal prosecutors want Jackson Jr. to forfeit $750,000. That's $750,000, money representing the ill-gotten proceeds of his crimes, and to make restitution of that $750,000. Defense attorneys, on the other hand, want only the forfeiture. Mr. Jackson should not be double-assessed forfeiture and restitution, they said. They also asked the judge not to order a fine, another potential hit, even though sentencing guidelines call for one in the range of $10,000 to $100,000. Quote unquote, due to his health issues and the possibility of incarceration. The possibility of incarceration. Man, you steal $750,000, your ass is going to jail. At least in my America, in my court system, I couldn't sit on your jury. You're damn right. I have preconceived notions of what the penalty should be. I have an open mind if, in fact, you didn't steal it. But if you stole it, if you pilfered it, if you did an illegal act, son, you're going to jail. You're going to pay restitution. A fine will impose a great burden on Mr. Jackson, Mrs. Jackson, and their 2 minor children. Oh, God save the Queen. The children are ages 9 and 13. Defense lawyers cited a draft report by federal probation officers showing the couple's net worth is lower than $750,000. Well, so what? Largely made up of the equity in their homes in Chicago and Washington, 2 retirement accounts, and their automobiles. Like I care? You got 2 homes. You resigned your position, sell your home in D.C., pay your fine. That's what Americans do. Not claim some mental debauchery and go get Social Security. An individual retirement account held by Jackson Jr. is worth $40,000, defense lawyers said. They did not disclose the value of their other assets. Well, there you go. Take the lowest. Is this like Wheel of Fortune? You spin the wheel and you just have to give up the least amount. The Southside Democrats have asked for leniency. She wants probation. He wants a term lower than the recommended under the guidelines, which calls 46 to 57 months. Federal prosecutors said on June 7th that Sandy Jackson would serve her term first. On Monday, they sought to refute the notion that he merits a lighter sentence and she deserves probation because of their good works while in office. What? They're sucking on a gravy train. Calling the pair highly compensated elected officials whose job it was to represent and assist constituents, prosecutors said. Quote, the case law is clear that one should not get credit at sentencing merely for doing one's job as a public servant. Hello? Are we listening? Battle lines are being drawn over psychiatric issues. See, it goes from ADD, bipolar. Remember, here, folks, have you been watching my show? See this little, if you're over on the TV side. That's right, we're over on Ustream TV / The Just Jim Show. This little book, DSM-5, Diagnostic of Statistical Manual of Mental Disorders. This new book that's been rewritten. It hadn't been rewritten in 20 years. They've been using same psychiatric terminology, blah, blah, blah. Over the last 20 years, we have become this pill-popping, let's just give him a pill. Junior's not having a bad hair day today, so let's give him a pill. Let's give her a pill. Oh, their feelers are hurt. Now, all of these little things that moms and dads have been giving their kids are now being classified inside of this book. Now, you're going to say, well, Jim, I don't know, maybe we should have a diagnosis, a term for all of these mental illnesses. Hang on, folks. Oh, I forgot to start the show today. Happy Father's Day to anybody who's a dad. And a special thanks and hello and job well done to fathers who are out there listening. I'll have a little coffee on that one. Where was I? Oh, the manual that's been rewritten. Pay very close attention to that book. Inside of it, you now have, and I talk about this quite often because I am a very pro-Second Amendment person. The only thing that has been talked about by our favorite pair on the Hill, where are they? I got them here somewhere. I can't not show these libtards. Where'd he go? I just saw him. I got so many pictures here, I don't even see it. There he is, right there. There's our favorite pair, right there. The favorite, and it's coming up again. That old grumpy VP is going to be at it again, taking away your guns. But do you understand the one cry that has come out of Sandy Hook and every other shooting here is mental disease? If, in fact, the administration puts a hand around mental disease based on this new book that's come out, once you're classified as having a mental disease, guess what you can never do? Is own a gun. So while the administration is looking for the definition or controlling mental disease, the Psychiatric Association has conveniently rewritten and just published, that was a month ago, this book. Psychologists and clinical statisticians are vehemently against the new definitions. ADD, ADHD, those things that, you give a pill for, put them on Ritalin, whatever the hell you got to do to your kid to get him through the day without having a temper tantrum. If in fact, with one of the examples used in the article that we talked about on that book, if in fact you say you're moms and dads and you lose a child and you have an extremely hard emotional time getting past that, and I agree, that's a tough one. They always say parents are not supposed to outlive their children when their kids die. It's tough. I know a couple people who have had it happen in the family. That if in fact you mourn for more than XYZ days, you will be classified as having a mental disorder, a mental disorder. Once that diagnosis is made, it puts you into this mental disease category. I know some of the sanest, nicest people who just divorce followed the death of their child, which is very, very common. There's a blame game going on. Had you done this? Hadn't you done that? I mean, back and forth. The ramifications of that is the family unit is ripped apart unwillingly, outside of your control. And yes, there's a lot of emotional and psychological things that go on in those times. But now, according to this book, that person that would be diagnosed or maybe have some sleeping pills, written a prescription, because shrinks can write scripts. The interesting thing about that book is that while they were putting these new terms together, they got paid from the drug companies. Although they'll stand back and they will say, well, we limited ourselves to $10,000 a year for contributing information to make this book happen. So they self-diagnosed or limited themselves to $10,000 a year, but there was no clause or qualification that said once the book is published that they couldn't go back and take a piece of the pie for the scripts that they're now going to write. The good old boy system is working here, and it falls directly into the administration's wish to disarm. Oh, can we hear some Pelosi and some Bloomberg cries of, we have to register and get rid of all the guns in the next generation. And how do you do that? Right there it is. I'm telling you, old Jimbo called this story. And I'm going to tell you it is an absolute truth. Hang on to your shorts, because in the next few months, this is all going to come down. And I'll guarantee you, you will see the cover of this book being flashed around as the new Bible for the administration to control mental illness and disease in America. And it is not. You go look at the book and look at the conversations that are going on. And here we have Jesse Jackson Jr. probably using, I'm going to guess, page 238 of that book to claim that this is why he needs his Social Security. This is just ludicrous. His lawyers have said he needs intense ongoing treatment and assert he is unlikely to get suitable care if he's sent to prison. Oh, he needs to go to the mental health resort. Yeah, I know where they're going. Psychiatric research has tied compulsive purchasing and spending to mood episodes in individuals with bipolar disorders. And I'll guarantee you, folks, it's in this book. It's laid out. I don't know what page it is, but I'm going to guarantee you it's out. And that book is sitting on the defense table in the courtroom. The prosecution sought to refute the idea that Jackson Jr. could not get appropriate health care. See, they're saying health care, not mental health care. See the difference, folks? While in prison, citing a letter to the U.S. Bureau of Prisons, Psychology Services Administrator and its Chief of Psychiatry. Those are two different groups of people. And that book, the -5 book, is opposed by the psychological core group. But the psychiatrists who write prescriptions love this book because now they get to write a whole crap house full of new scripts. Give them a pill. They also said defense lawyers had not shown a link between Jackson's mental condition and his compulsive buying, and notice his crimes involved about 3,100 illegal transactions. Are you into this, folks? 3,100 illegal transactions. What do you think he thought this stuff was for? The Jacksons, both of whom have law degrees. Oh, here we go, lawyers on the loose again. Uh-oh. Track them down. Give them an ambulance to chase. Struck separate plea deals. Everybody's an individual. I get it. But this was if in fact this was a two-party system, I'm going to say there's probably a head of the campaign fund, unless she was, for his money. This is called collusion. He acknowledged pilfering his war chest from 2005 to 2012 and spending money on a Rolex watch, furs, cashmere, celebrity memorabilia, 2 mounted elk. See, he buys the mold. This is the joke. Of course, he lives in Illinois, so he can't have a gun, right? Yeah, right. Unless he's a gang. He's in the gang of 8. He buys 2 mounted elk heads and other items. So I can imagine. Could you imagine going to a cocktail party at the Jackson Jr. house? Wait a minute. Hang on a minute. Let's see. Would I ever be invited to the Jackson Jr. house? Nah. But if I was, and I walked in and I saw 2 elk heads mounted on the walls somewhere in this house of theirs, do you think Jimbo, look at this. Yeah, Friends NRA right there. Pro-Second Amendment. You think we wouldn't have a conversation? Oh, when did you go elk hunting? Been there, done that. Got them teeth. Ivory, if you know anything about hunting an elk. And what do you think the BS? I would have had waiters on listening to this story, because I will guarantee you that hotshot who runs Rolex watches, celebrity memorabilia, fur coats, and plays Willie the Pimp when he's not on the D.C. Hill, I'm going to guarantee you that he would not have told me the truth that he bought those heads. What are you thinking? Are you folks with me on this? Are you on board? This guy is hardcore Willie the Pimp got busted playing the game. Jackson Jr., a 17-year veteran of Congress, served from 95 until he quit. Sandy Jackson, 49, served on the Chicago City Council from 2007 until she resigned in January. There you go. We got more yahoos, gang of eights going to D.C., and we'll stay back in Chicago and sit on the city council and give you support and cover your rear end as you buy me more fur coats. Oh, yeah. Copyright Chicago Tribune, of course. Catherine Skiba. Nice little article. And I'm telling you, Mrs. failed to report $600,000 in income the two had during tax years 2005 to 2011. So I'm going to tell you that this is not something that, woe is me, we need pills, we need to go to the psychiatric golf course to do our penance for our ill deeds, our lies. And I can hear all the Chicago yahoos hollering, "Oh, Jimbo, you're just, you don't understand. You don't live here. They did so much for us in Chicago here." What did they do? They kept guns off the street, except for the gangsters, and you reach record. What do you mean? Is this what your claim to fame is down there in Chicago that these two yahoos did for you? You're number one in murders in the country. That's it. I'm just not on board with that. Not at all. Wow. Hey, and with that, we'll be right back after these messages. Support our underwriters, hey.
At Hode Gun and Loan, you'll find one of the largest selections of new and used guns in the Northwoods. Beretta, Ruger, and Springfield Armory, rifles, pistols, and black powder. At Hode Gun and Loan, your gun and ammo needs are covered. We buy gold and jewelry too, and right now we're paying the highest prices in the Northwoods for your gold. Located at 915 Lincoln Street in Rhinelander, Wisconsin. WPEG.net, your local PEG programming content provider. We provide programming in public, education, and government programming for you, our listeners. A listener-supported station. Don't forget, support our underwriters, because they're the ones who care enough to bring you this program. Support our underwriters. After all, they're the ones that keep us bringing this program to you. WPEG.net television network is your PEG content provider in Wisconsin's Northwoods. Public, education, and government programming content is what we do. From city meetings to school board meetings and all points in between, you can count on WPEG.net to deliver the news of your elected officials to you. With WPEG's television network working for your community, you don't have to miss another government meeting or an important school board presentation. We deliver directly to your living room and computer. Tell your city officials that you want to know what they're doing. After all, that's why you elected them. Let your elected officials know that you want WPEG.net television network on your community cable television system today. Call 715-490-2300 or 490-2303 and tell us what you think. Or you can send us an email at pegnews@WPEG.net. WPEG is a listener-supported
Are you
station.
ready for digital TV? Dave's TV is. Do you know what you need? Do you have what you need to watch the new digital TV signals? We've been installing antennas and satellite dishes for the past 25 years. From city installations to hunting shacks in the woods, from rabbit ears to 300-foot towers, we've seen it all. No job is too big or too small. Call Dave's TV and Satellite today at 715-362-3001.
That's
Dave's TV, 362-3001.
Do you need a safe and secure place to keep your personal property? Do you want 24-hour lit access to your mini warehouse? Do you want your own lock on your storage unit? Conveniently located at 1647 Menominee Drive in Rhinelander, Wisconsin, Cedarwood Mini Warehousing has exactly what you're looking for in short and long-term storage units. With nearly 200 storage units that provide safe and secure storage for your personal property, Cedarwood Mini Warehousing and Storage will meet all your storage needs with their short-term and long-term rental contracts. Storage units come in sizes from 4 to 6 foot to 12 by 16 for your large personal and household items. For a limited time, get 1 month free with a 6-month paid rental contract. Call 715-366-2260 today to see about availability and current monthly specials. From big to small, we store it all. Call 715-366-2260 today. Prices subject to availability and rental contract. WPEG.net, your local PEG programming content provider. We provide programming in public, education, and government programming for you, our listeners. A listener-supported station. Don't forget to support our underwriters because they're the ones who care enough to bring you this program.
Yabba dabba doo. Tuesday, what is it, 8:46-ish, kabibble? 8:45? Tuesday morning from Lake Wisheyebego. We're in the bunker, trying to tell it like it is. Picking some stories from around the country. I'll go over and talk about G2, G8, G3, G5. OG. And what old boy is doing overseas. But on the homeland, and I hate, I don't like using that term. I don't know about you guys, but since when did we assume what I call a very unpatriotic term, homeland? If you go back to Nazi Germany, the terminology, and I think that's the part I'm looking at, maybe because I'm old enough to remember it, the term homeland carried not a very good connotation to it when it first came to be. And as it's being used today in America, Homeland Security. You pull that one out of you-know-where. I have a real serious problem with that terminology. Everything to take away the proper terminology of the use of the word of America, the country, not homeland. And I'm sure there are sociologists that would argue this. I'm sure pro and con, but I don't know that I would want to listen to them because they come out of a university system, and we all pretty much know most of the university systems, specifically the ones that are on the gravy train, on the public coffers, like the University of Wisconsin. Stashes $680 million on the side. Oh, we didn't know we had that. Oh, yeah. Oh, but we need a 20% raise on our tuition. We don't have any money. Yeah, you lying sacks of crap. I give you a quarter for that one because I didn't say it. But this is just absolutely, it just takes my Yahoo away. And I'm thinking of most patriots that are listening, we're going to say the same damn thing. Coming off the AP wire, Arizona citizenship proof law is found illegal. Are you listening here? Come in. Just shot down. States cannot demand proof of citizenship from people registering to vote in federal elections unless they get a federal or court approval to do so. Are you with this? Are you absolutely with this? So the Supreme Court ruled Monday in a decision complicating efforts in Arizona and other states to bar voting by people who are in the country illegally. Where is my God? Where is my Supreme Court? And we talk about appointments to the Supreme Court by administrations who have become so polar. And I'm going to tell you, I'll make the accusation, very anti-American by the mere fact that they play partisan politics. Our country doesn't have a damn thing to do with appointments. It has to do with controlling the judicial system and its decision-making process about how I want and what I want. You got POTUS going down to Illinois, yelling at American citizens back here to a group of young Mexicans. Well, I'm not the one that's disrupting your family. It's them back there. You know, that's a treasonous comment. While you may wish to have open borders as the POTUS, we the people do not. While you're going to say, and your AG would turn around and say, well, he's just stating a fact, that that's what he wants. It is un-American. It is treasonous to say open the borders and reunite families based on a massive amount of people who will vote for your party in the next election. Oh, that's not what I mean. That's not why I'm doing it. Poppycock. I'm going to say poppycock. And I'm going to say it based on fact. 25 years ago, and I've said this story before, sorry, old-time story for old listeners. Got new listeners, got to bring them up to speed. 25 years ago or so, working in the television production business, like I have for 33 years, I got the opportunity to attend what's called the La Raza. Little Lieberman, President Fox at the time from Mexico. This was a closed speech time at the La Raza convention held in Milwaukee, Wisconsin. The nice thing working about high-end corporate AV communications, you know, we work the jumbotron so that people can see the blah blah up at the podium. Yeah, I'm sure you've all been to something like that. At least you've seen the programs if you haven't been. The term back then and the thought of open borders, it starts with open commerce, relaxing the rules and regulations of the commerce between the two countries. 25 years ago, the conversation did turn to open borders. Free travel back and forth. President Fox was for it. Lieberman was for it. The key speech part that just made me smile was the fact that the comment was made by U.S. representatives, elected government officials, that mirrored Yamamoto's discussion of why Japan could never invade the United States of America, because there would be a gun or a rifle behind every blade of grass. Couldn't win that fight. The same was said true that the borders in Arizona and Texas, part of Southern California, that the U.S. citizens would never let it happen. Do you understand what's going on here? This is a long-term political. Everybody knows it. You patriots know what's going on here. And you got Sheriff Joe down in the Phoenix area, Governor Brewer. This is an absolute ludicrous Supreme Court decision. What's been going on out of the courts and coming out of the courts is absolutely ludicrous. They are disintegrating our Constitution. The ability to protect ourselves and our family and our country. The justices' 7-2 ruling closes the door on states independently changing the requirements for those using the voter registration form produced under the federal motor voter registration law. What the hell? This is a gang style politics. Motor voter. What? Are you trying to rap? They would need permission from a federally created panel. Oh, here we go. A panel of 8. Let's put some gang members together. The Election Assistance Commission. What the hell is that? Or a federal court ruling overturning the commission's decision to make tougher requirements stick. So here in Wisconsin, our voter registration law may not ever gain the speed and the momentum and the meat to actually make it stick. Justice Scalia, who wrote the court's majority decision, said federal law precludes Arizona law from requiring a federal form applicant to submit information beyond that required by the form itself. Voting rights advocates welcome the ruling. Well, there you go. Relate back to my previous conversation. Today's decision sends a strong message that states cannot block their citizens. But they're not citizens. Don't you people listen to what's being written and said? Listen, quote, today's decision sends a strong message that states cannot block their citizens from registering to vote by superimposing burdensome paperwork requirements on top of federal law. Nina Perales, Vice President of Litigation for the Mexican-American Legal Defense and Educational Fund. Do you listen? She is the second in command of this group, whoever the hell they are. Obviously a PAC. She says blocking their citizens. They're not citizens, bimbo. They wouldn't be called illegal immigrants if they were citizens. The court has affirmed that all U.S. citizens have the right to register to vote using the national postcard, regardless of the state in which they live. This has nothing to do with it. This has to do with citizens, people who are illegal attempting to vote. Under Proposition 200, give it a number, make it sound good. Approved in 2004, Arizona officials required an Arizona driver's license issued after 96, a U.S. birth certificate, a passport, or other similar document before the state would approve the federal registration application. It can no longer do that on its own authority. Less than 5% of people registering to vote in Arizona use the federal form, said Matt Roberts, a spokesman for the Arizona Secretary of State, Ken Bennett. The rest register through the state, meaning they will continue to be asked to provide proof of citizenship when signing up to vote. And your point, caller? Hello? Arizona Attorney General Tom Horne, who argued the case before the Supreme Court, expects the state will ask the Election Assistance Commission to approve the citizenship proof on the federal form and to fight any denial in court, the process laid out in Monday's ruling. This is such a dissolving decision. The U.S. Supreme Court has given us clear path to victory for the people of Arizona who overwhelmingly approved the state constitutional amendment. That was a subject of the legal challenge, Horne said. Since the U.S. Supreme Court has made it clear that this pathway exists, Arizona should use it. The sanctity of the ballot box is a cherished right for Americans, and it must be protected. You need to say American citizens, because while someone may be here illegally or the child of an illegal immigrant, and they believe that they're part of the American process, they are not. This is absolutely the old theory of saying if you say something long enough, they will believe it. This is just absolutely ludicrous. Federal officials deadlocked on Arizona's request in 2005, and the state did not appeal it. In other actions Monday, the court ruled that agreements between makers of name brand and generic drugs to delay generics availability can be illegal and challenged in court. So there you go. This is just unbelievable. Ruled that prosecutors in some instances may use suspects' silence at an early stage of a criminal investigation against him or her before the suspect has been arrested or informed of constitutional rights. Remember, what is this don't ask, don't tell thing now in an investigation? The Arizona case is the first of two major voting decisions to be made by the court in this month. Justices have yet to say whether a section of the Voting Rights Act of 1965, a law that has helped millions of minorities exercise their right to vote, especially in the areas of the Deep South, was still needed despite several justices voicing deep skepticism during arguments in February. Now, I'm going to tell you that there is nobody that is an American citizen that should not get their butts some way, shape, or form, or somehow to a poll or have the ability to do an absentee ballot due to lack of transportation, lack of mobility, whatever it might be. I, as an American citizen, want to find 100% of American citizens, not illegal aliens, not false 2-3 poll workers voting 10 times because somebody else said that's what they wanted them to do. Physically, I've said this before, maybe not enough, but you have to, if you're the GAB in some way, shape, or form, and in charge of looking at elections and the cleanliness thereof, I will guarantee you that you need to look at the retirement homes and communities throughout America. I cannot tell you, personally, I know of people who have filled out absentee ballots, social workers who have filled out absentee ballots for people living in and very incapacitated patients, residents. I'll call them residents. Patients is it's a medical term that I'm not qualified to say. But residents in adult living arrangements have had ballots filled out by social workers unbeknownst to the voting overseers. Illegal, wrong, and it's being done. And I don't have an answer to sorting it out or making it disappear. I'm just telling you that is an area that hasn't been looked at by groups like True the Vote in Wisconsin and a number of other organizations all around the country. You will not like what you find if and when you start to look at them. You will, and the end game is what? That's partially what the conversation has to be. If you're going to spend money to go look at organizations, situations that are highly probable, I'm a skeptic. Give me a situation, I'll find you the dirty side of it. And many people say, Jim, you're always such a negative person. I am not. I am one of the most positive people I have ever met. But I'm going to ask questions, and I believe that that's what makes me one of the most positive people I've ever known, because I'm going to ask the $1 million question. It doesn't bother me. It's your answer, but I'm going to ask the question, and I'm tickled pink when you answer it. I may not like your answer, and I may go check it out, but I'm happy. That's part of the process. Be happy in the process. As I always say, it's usually not what you do, it's the process by which you do it that will make or break you and whatever it is that you're trying to do. I find this to be extremely unsettling coming out of Arizona, and I find that Arizona jumps to the forefront of some of the issues that are front and center stage. I had a little brain fart, and I was reading something that just came in. And I'm thinking that Arizona officials, Jan Brewer, Sheriff Joe, may very well be a little on the tired side. Does that make sense? I mean, I know Arizonians. They're very strong, staunch people. Good folks. Texans. I know people that are good folks. Heartland. I live in I'm in a northern, I'm at Lake Wisheyebego. It's just to the due east of Lake Wobegon. There are good people all over the place. People don't know what the end game is. We've had this discussion in our little local gathering places where we talk about stuff. Fix the world's problems at night. You know how that goes. Everybody's got some one of those places. The end game is what befuddles the average American citizen right now. There is so much going on. There is so much going on that they do not agree with. and there are not solutions being talked about. And I'm going to start changing some of the formats of my shows because I'm just bringing the stuff to you. But the stuff I'm bringing to you is very changeable. And while they're kind of broad-based, what I've found is that you end up with a group of people who find something that is extremely near and dear to their heart. Doesn't matter what it is. Something in the American way of life. I know any number of people, who have Benghazi, and I'm one of them. I won't ever let that die. That is something that is going to stick in the craw of a lot of people. And I'll say this outright, as a national movement, find some people who are like-minded with you. It doesn't matter if it's the IRS investigation with Tea Parties and denials of 501c3 status, if it's something on Benghazi, if it's something on phone tapping and snooping, whatever it is. Find some people that are like-minded like you. And don't dedicate your entire working day to it, but dedicate a very concerted effort to try to keep those movements alive, to find out the truth in what is going on in our government. Open records, open meetings, transparency in government. There is nothing more sacred in America than that. And it starts at the local level. In small town Lake Wisheyebego, right on up to D.C. And by the time it gets there, it's so polluted, you know what I'm saying. Take a look at what's going on in your local community. I don't care where you live. If it's Chicago, if it's Lake Wobegon, if it's Lake Wisheyebego. I'm going to tell you that if you look, there are going to be some things that you're going to find you're not going to like. Don't like them with a passion. That is excellent. Do some research, do a little reading, gain a little knowledge, and then hold your local officials' feet to the fire. I've come to the personal understanding that I don't have conversations. Once I find something that's going on, I take a look beyond the particular instance that I'm looking at. And it just happened recently, and I'm not prepared to do the story yet. But the process by which things are done usually has a very distinct and identifiable breadcrumb trail. Stay on it past the immediate thing that you found within your local government. Stay on it and go back as far as you can go and muster and prove the process or the standard, the standard way of doing business in that community. If, in fact, there is a trail of, I didn't know the gun was loaded, you're going to hear that a lot. Or there's a concerted effort to just sidestep the transparency in government, it'll become extremely clear. There are easy methods by which you can challenge that. Anonymous, at least in the state of Wisconsin, you can do it anonymously. Your district attorney offices will not want you to do them. They'll want to stand there and tell you, I need to know who the hell you are. And you don't have to tell them that. And you're going to run into some opposition. But that said, it's easy enough to do it. And there's enough people around who do know how to do it that they'll, a little help from your friends. That's what it's all about. Get the patriots together. Get rid of the socialists and the communists who are lurking in local government. And you're going to say, Jim, you're not. No. I got one on the hook right now I'm looking at. In a little Lake Wisheyebego, little socialist communist just got elected. And I'm going to have a heyday with this boy. See, I look forward to these things. And it's just part-time. Well, no, it's full-time for me, but it's part-time for you guys. And you can do the same thing in a part-time environment. And it's easy enough to recognize the telltale signs of the socialists, the Agenda 21 people, the progressive politics. They come in by 100 of different names, but the end result is always the same. They want what you have. And they're going to find enough people out there that don't have, that are going to want to take away and agree with them that they should have part of your whatever you have. They call that, what is that called, old boy? Oh, yeah, wealth redistribution. And wealth is selective. It's perspective. All right, but anyways, back to Arizona here. This 7-2 decision is just, to me, just dumbfounded. Where am I going? Georgia Secretary of State Brian Kemp called the decision disappointing, but said he would continue working with state officials to provide safe, secure, and legal system for voter registration. Tom Casso, professor of Chapman University School of Law in California and supporter of the Arizona law, said the decision, quote-unquote, opened the door to non-citizen voting. Absolutely. As the saying goes, can you hear me now? The court's decision ignores the clear dictates of the Constitution in favor of bureaucratic red tape. Casso said, the notion that the court will not enforce the Constitution unless you first apply to a commission that cannot act because it has no members is mind-boggling. Hello? Learn about this stuff, folks. Currently, the Election Assistance Commission has no active commissioners. So this is a bogus law, and our Supreme Court ruled 7-2 to let nobody be the people that you need to go talk to do something. Are you choking on your coffee beans this morning? The 4 commissioners are supposed to be nominated by the president and confirmed by the Senate. I go back a year ago. The Senate doesn't want to have any more appointment hearings. They're too busy, so they say. This is one of the most upside-down, mind-boggling decisions I have ever heard. Currently, the election commission has no commissioners. The 4 are supposed to be confirmed by the Senate. The last 2 left in 2011, according to the panel's website. Kathy McKee, who led the push to get Proposition 200 on the ballot in Arizona, said the ruling makes it harder to combat voter fraud, including fraud carried out by people who don't have permission to be in the country. Hello? To even suggest that the honor system works, really, McKee said. You have to prove who you are just to use your charge card now. This is what is so... I tell you what, old boy, why don't you appoint me to this commission? I'll find about 4 or 8 other buddies of mine, and we'll have that board filled up 1, 2, 3, PDQ. You will have a commission. I'll expect extreme amount of money because I want to be on your gravy train. Right? No, not. But we'll sort this thing out. And the first matter of fact, I'll even take this to the people. I won't wait for the people to come to me. I'll take this commission directly to the people. I will pick up the phone and I will call Jan Brewer and the Attorney General in Arizona, and we will set an appointment up. I might ask that they buy coffee, but no, I won't do that either because that'd be a bribe. I'll buy coffee. I don't care. I'll go down there with my commission, and we'll sort this thing out in about 10 seconds. It ain't hard. Opponents of Arizona's law say it's an attack on vulnerable voter groups such as minorities, immigrants, and the elderly. If you're not a citizen, I don't give a rat's ass. Minorities, I'll help you get to the polls. We'll set something up. I want you to vote. I want to see 100% participation of citizens voting for things that go on in America. That's the ideal. That's the fantasy land. It ain't never going to happen, but it is an excellent goal to reach for. They say they've counted more than 31,000 potentially legal voters in Arizona who easily could have registered before Proposition 200, but they were blocked by the state in the 20 months after it passed. They say 20% of those thwarted were Latino. So we got 31,000 potential legal voters in Arizona that didn't vote. I'm going to be looking at that problem rather than some piece of paper that says you had to fill something out and prove who you were. Arizona officials say they would be able to pass laws to stop non-citizens from getting on their voting rolls. The Arizona voting law was part of a package that also denied some government benefits to people in the country illegally and required Arizonians to show identification before voting. This is just, So you've got, okay, let's see. You've got people who don't have driver's licenses that are driving, maybe, huh? I'm thinking. Arizona can ask federal government to include the extra documents as state-specific requirements, Scalia said, and challenge any adverse decision by the government in the court. Louisiana's request has already been granted, Scalia said. Well, there you go. Put me on a commission. I'll find 7 other buddies. We'll have a new gang of 8, and we will solve this problem in a heartbeat. Come on, old boy. Suck it up, Buttercup. This came out of the Arizona Intertribal Council of Arizona, Incorporated. Hit the AP wires in Washington. I got to say, life is not as hard as we are making it here in America. I just have a problem with this. Why are we making life so hard? Huh? And hey, and by the way, if you don't like what I'm posting, hold on, I got something in my diaper for you. Well, and with that, I got to take a quick break. I'll be back in a short, Just Jim in the morning, live from the bunker in Lake Wisheyebego.
At Hode Gun & Loan, you'll find one of the largest selections of new and used guns in the Northwoods. Beretta, Ruger, and Springfield Armory, rifles, pistols, and black powder. At Hode Gun & Loan, your gun and ammo needs are covered. We buy gold and jewelry too, and right now we're paying the highest prices in the Northwoods for your gold. Located at 915 Lincoln Street in Rhinelander, Wisconsin. WPEG.net, your local PEG programming content provider. We provide programming in public, education, and government programming for you, our listeners. A listener-supported station. Don't forget, support our underwriters, because they're the ones who care enough to bring you this program. Support our underwriters. After all, they're the ones that keep us bringing this program to you.
WPEG.net television network is your PEG content provider in Wisconsin's Northwoods. Public, education, and government programming content is what we do. From city meetings to school board meetings and all points in between, you can count on WPEG.net to deliver the news of your elected officials to you. With WPEG's television network working for your community, you don't have to miss another government meeting or an important school board presentation. We deliver directly to your living room and computer. Tell your city officials that you want to know what they're doing. After all, that's why you elected them. Let your elected officials know that you want WPEG.net television network on your community cable television system today.
Call 715-490-2300 or 490-2303 and tell us what you think. Or you can send us an email at pegnews@wpeg.net. WPEG is a listener-supported
Are you ready
station.
for digital TV? Dave's TV is. Do you know what you need? Do you have what you need to watch the new digital TV signals? We've been installing antennas and satellite dishes for the past 25 years. From city installations to hunting shacks in the woods, from rabbit ears to 300-foot towers, we've seen it all. No job is too big or too small. Call Dave's TV and Satellite today at 715-362-3001.
That's
Dave's TV, 362-3001.
Do you need a safe and secure place to keep your personal property? Do you want 24-hour lit access to your mini warehouse? Do you want your own lock on your storage unit? Conveniently located at 1647 Menominee Drive in Rhinelander, Wisconsin, Cedarwood Mini Warehousing has exactly what you're looking for in short and long-term storage units. With nearly 200 storage units that provide safe and secure storage for your personal property, Cedarwood Mini Warehousing and Storage will meet all your storage needs with their short-term and long-term rental contracts. Storage units come in sizes from 4 to 6 foot to 12 by 16 for your large personal and household items. For a limited time, get 1 month free with a 6-month paid rental contract. Call 715-366-2260 today to see about availability and current monthly specials. From big to small, we store it all. Call 715-366-2260 today. Prices subject to availability and rental contract. WPEG.net, your local PEG programming content provider. We provide programming in public, education, and government programming for you, our listeners. A listener-supported station. Don't forget, support our underwriters, because they're the ones who care enough to bring you this program.
Yes, that's right. Just Jim in the morning back at you. It is 9:21 in the morning here. I got my pup over here. Go lay down. Okay, girl? Go lay down. That's my baby girl. Life of Riley. You betcha. Anyway, hey, we're in the bunker. You get all sorts with us in the morning. You never know what we're going to do. I kind of ran out of stories this morning, but I didn't. Here's to me, a cute little story, I think. And I think it's interesting. Most of you people enjoy people who find stuff. I mean, heck, we've been looking for Jimmy Hoffa for how long? That was bad. I forgot I was going to talk about that, but they're back looking for his body on a tip from somebody that, excuse me here. This is, ouch. There, we put that up there. Fairport, Michigan story came in here. Commercial fisherman Larry Barbeau, comings and goings usually don't create much of a stir in this windswept Lake Michigan outpost, but in the past few days, his phone jangles the minute he arrives home. Barbeau's 46-foot boat is the offshore nerve center for an expedition seeking the underwater grave of the Griffin. This is a friend of mine actually puts an annual diving expedition together to go look for this thing. And maybe they found it. I don't know. Barbeau's, is the offshore nerve center for the expedition seeking the underwater grave of the Griffin, the first ship of European design to traverse the upper Great Lakes. Built on orders of legendary French explorer René Robert Cavelier de La Salle, it ventured from Niagara Falls to Lake Michigan's Green Bay, but disappeared during its return in 1679. Divers this weekend opened a pit at the base of a wooden beam that juts nearly 11 feet from the lake bottom, believing it could be a section of the vessel. The rest presumably entombed in mud. They picked up the pace Monday with even more powerful equipment. After the weekend of probing showed that whatever's buried deeper than sonar readings indicated. U.S. and French experts insist it's too early to say whether there's actually a shipwreck, let alone the Griffin. But anticipation is building as the prospect of solving a maritime puzzle that's more than 3 centuries old. And this is true. If you ever go snorkeling or scuba diving and stuff like that, and you see stuff down the bottom down there, here's a picture of the mast. They're down there hanging off on something coming up out of there. This is an interesting story, too. Bob Bennett, I think his name was. I can't remember his first name, Bob. His last name was Bennett. And he is one that is part of the search, had been part of, he puts a search member together, or search group all the time. A lot of rookies going diving. And he goes out every year, once a year, and does this. Well, and maybe somebody beat him to it. I'm sure he won't be happy if he wasn't on this group, because he's got a lot of time and energy and money stuck into that. After we get done for the day, everybody calls or comes to the house to see, and they're all like, "What did you find?" You know, we did a program a number of years back called Backyard Treasures, and it was all about treasure hunting with metal detectors. Absolutely, everybody's seen it happen. It's really a universal kind of I wonder what he's found over there. You see somebody with their thing, pull their thing out and wag it around. It's treasure hunting is truly, I think it's a universal. Get your blood pressure up a little bit. Barbeau said in Sunday interview aboard his ship, the Viking, which holds crucial expedition equipment, including umbilical cables that supply oxygen to divers. People are really interested and they're excited to see what this is. His neighbors aren't the only curious ones. Roughly 40-member expedition team consists of archaeologists, historians, boat pilots, divers, and underwater salvage crews, and assorted helpers. When not on the water, they stay in cottages and tents by the lake in the unincorporated village of Fairport, in one of the most remote corners of Michigan's UP, the Yoopers. Let's see. I'm going to go down here and skim this here. Interesting. Somebody, Griffin, Steve Liebert, is from Milwaukee. He was a sheet metal worker whose grandfather had searched the lake for chests of gold that legends say smugglers lost during the Civil War. Now, and that is part of the lore of this thing. There's a lore out there that the French Civil War, Civil War. French had sent a ship down filled with gold bullion for the South. Never made it. If he says it's a griffin, I absolutely believe him. He says that this guy is very ethical and that he should not put any bull out there. The hands on the excavation work is being handled by a 3-man crew from the Great Lakes Diving and Salvage, a Michigan company that ordinarily deals with mundane tasks of repairing pumps or scraping zebra mussels off of intake pipes. Isn't that a hoot, the zebra mussel story in the Great Lakes? For those of you that don't know, it's not necessarily a good thing. It's an invasive species. Riley, no licking. Bye-bye. Come on, no licking. Yep, I said no licking. Pup's been swimming, as have I. I was wet Sunday, just as an FYI, and the water's a little chilly. The team, we're basically underwater janitors, said Tom Gwynn, Vice President of Operations. The Griffin, he said, is like a play job for us. We're loving it. I would think it would be. If you're in the water and you're doing stuff as making a living doing it, this has got to be exciting. Sonar scans in years past had suggested that the object, similar to the Griffin's reputed size, rested about 2 feet beneath the lake floor. But commercial divers on Friday found the bottom caked with a thick layer of invasive fingernail-sized mussel shells. After tunneling through the mussels, the divers began sucking away gravel and sediments, never hitting anything solid. By Sunday night, the hole reached about 8 feet below the lake bed and wasn't clear how far down the wooden beam extended or what it might be attached to. So they're digging this beam out that's sticking out of the water right here. So they're down 8 feet. I would be skeptical of that. You get some undercurrents in there. I don't know how deep they are, but it's near Poverty Island, it looks for. I didn't grab that map. Anyway, but as more is exposed, the post appears increasingly likely to be part of a ship, said Lohr, director of France's Department of Underwater Archaeology Research. We never saw a timber standing like this one, he said. It's so impossible to imagine it otherwise. So one can only expect that there is a hull under here. Archaeologist Bob Reedy of Moorhead, North Carolina, and Misty Jackson of Leslie, Michigan, sit on a Viking and sift through material that was found in the sediment, watching for artifacts. From bronze cannons, we have artifacts, to axes or knives, anything man-made that would help identify a ship. Thus far, the only cannon has been a slab of blackened wood about 15 inches long with characteristics suggested it may have been fashioned by human hands. Its origin remains unknown. So, we're sifting through remains of cannons. They don't have any cannons up there yet. Come on, guys. Visitors inspired by the long-lost ship have drifted in the area during the search, including a 9-year-old who wrote a school paper about the Griffin, and the men in period costumes and handmade canoes in the 1976 reenactment of LaSalle's journey across the Great Lakes and down the Mississippi. Carl Barron, a folk singer and self-described pretty soon major movie star who lives 90 minutes north of Lake Superior, performed an impromptu concert outside the food tent on Sunday night. He said he's composing a song about the Griffin. It's rattling around in my head, he said. Why do I wonder if there's something else rattling around in there? Anyway, I thought that was kind of an interesting little ditty, and one can only hope that what they're doing will prove to be fruitful. I love this stuff, and I'm looking at this picture. Here, let me pull it over there quick. You can take a look at it too, somewhere over there. There it is. This does appear to be something that, out in the middle of, I don't know how deep, again, I don't know how deep they are, but this certainly does look like it may be something that has been fashioned by the hands of man. Hopefully, I don't know. They don't say how deep they are. And hopefully it's at one end or the other. I don't know that would be a mast. It doesn't. If it was a schooner, that might be a front mast on it. For those of you who are sailors and familiar with diving, etc. And investigators are zeroing in on the wildfire's origination point and what it is. Oh, Lordy. Uh-oh. What happened here? This is not good. Chaos as gunfire erupts in Utah's Father's Day Mass. This is disturbing. I'm not going to read it. I guess I don't see the point. Oh man, oh man, oh man. Transgender candidate could become a first in New York City. I don't know. This stuff is just kind of floating around here, and I here we go back to the Gang 8, the G8, the Gang 8. Here numbers are 8 recently here. 8 leaders from left: European Commission President Jose Manuel. I'm not going to read them off. Japan, Germany Chancellor Angela. Where's Merkel? I don't see her. Merkel's not there unless she got a haircut and put a suit on. Unbelievable. And Putin, Francis Holland, and Canadian Prime Minister. It is interesting how a republic is so outnumbered by what is sitting at this meeting right now. Think about that. When it's not so much what's being said. Think about if you really had a true republic president over there that wasn't coddling socialism. How outnumbered that person would be. Obviously, David Cameron from the British Prime Minister. You're outnumbered. I mean, Holland is a declared socialist. Marxist. Prime Minister from Canada is almost socialist. Italian, look at the countries that are in trouble. They're all part of the Euro. The Euro is nothing but a socialist gathering. You are fighting an uphill battle, and I don't think Obama, boy, the village idiot, has the cojones. I really don't. To make sure that we, the people, come out on the top end of this thing. And yes, winning is what it's all about. You don't play a game to not win. And the economic development and furtherment and betterment of your country isn't anything that you need to be playing with and negotiating. That's the, Syria now. You really think that Obama is going to lead us back into Syria? You think we're going to put boots on the ground? We're so far apart on who's supporting who, and I don't know. It's just when abortions would be banned, the Republican-controlled House is expected to pass a bill today that would ban abortions after 20 weeks. The Senate is expected to ignore it. Welcome to partisan politics, what I talked about earlier. Why in God's green earth are we not doing the things that need to be done for America, not for the party? The party indicates socialism, communism. Well, I'm going to vote straight party line. That means your party is more important than America. Not true, buccos. Not true. At least in my America. I don't know about the rest of you guys. Oh, forgot to go back to the camera. Oh, I'm telling you. This is... Spurs, basketball, I don't watch basketball much. I get very frustrated and I'm disillusioned with pro sports. I tell you something. When I was a kid playing baseball, it crosses everybody's mind. Wouldn't you love to be a baseball player and play in the pros? I grew up watching Warren Spahn, Eddie Matthews, some of the greatest, in my opinion, among others. And even into my 40s, because I never played pro ball, I could still whip a ball 90 miles an hour. Left-handed, too. Whoo! And I thought, boy, I could be the oldest relief pitcher earning minimum salary. And what's minimum salary? Then you get to play a kid's game. Wow. If that isn't the American dream, what's up with that? And everybody, and football, short-lived career, I'll give you that. I think that the football players are probably the most at-risk sports players around. Soccer players have a pretty short, but if they stay in shape, they have a fair career. Just not as brutal as football. But then you got the NFL. Did you hear? Oh, I forgot to talk about this, and I'll do it quickly, and I may end the show early today. I was listening to Mark Levin on the radio the other day. It was Friday. And he brought up a really, really interesting point. And I haven't heard it released either in print or anywhere else yet. So, Mark, kudos to you for digging that one up. There was an NFL directive regarding the carry-in configurations of what would now be allowed in all NFL football stadiums that have NFL games. And what he said, after pondering what it was he said, made so much sense. Excuse me. I'm still sucking coffee this morning. He made the point that the NFL made a directive of not carrying seat cushions in, anything that purses, and I'm just doing this from memories. I don't have the article or any article on it yet other than what I heard with Mark. He said that this was an NFL directive, and specifically we're in Cheesehead land, so we get the Green Bay Packers, that at Lambeau Field, not the People's Field, Lambeau Field, that he felt that this directive came down because of a knowledge base that something was being planned at an NFL football stadium somewhere. So this credible knowledge or information, security information, whatever it might be, would be something that the Homeland Security, and I hate that word, I said that before, I hate that word, that they may have credible information that something is going on that would warrant these kinds of measures to be taken across the NFL. And I would tend to agree with him that this was something that maybe all of you patriots out there that end up at a football game, keep your eyes open. Watch your backside, watch your neighbors. Keep an eye on it. It's always, you're going to a football game to have fun, but are you a sheep or are you a shepherd? And I think you need to answer that question when you go out to major events, sporting events, indoors, outdoors. I'm surprised that they haven't made that kind of an edict, unless they do. And I don't go to basketball games. I'm not anywhere near anybody. Although I don't think I want to go see anybody in pro ball. As I said, I hate pro ball. We used to shoot a lot. I used to shoot a lot of it basketball, but I don't much care for it. I don't follow it. I'm not all in awe of people. Sports purists. I love them because they do things that are extremely, and they do it well if they're in the pro world. So be very careful out there. Specifically, it sounds, I agree with you, Mark. I think that there's some credibility to that comment and that opinion that somebody knows something which led to the to this edict by the NFL. Watch your 40. Watch your 6. It sounds like Netflix is cutting a TV deal with DreamWorks, and The world looks to Bernanke to clarify stimulus plans. That's I'm just reading some headlines off of here. Apparently, the military, Washington, the United States of my America, is now beginning to be prepared to put women in most combat jobs. I have torn feelings on this, and it's not because I do not think that women are incapable of performing military duties, inclusive of combat jobs. I have to ask the bigger question, which I commented on the other day, that the suggested, are we in the middle of being at risk in losing a generation of men due to war, boots on the ground? Are we at risk for that? I don't know. I'm not sure about that one. But now Bernanke and the Federal Reserve, who prints money, watch your money. I told you about the earmarks on what's going on there. Interesting that the world markets still gyrate over Bernanke and the Federal Reserve. It's rumor has it that they're going to start to ease their printing of money, and they're all noticeable by the red marks on your dollar bills and your 10s and 20s. On Wednesday, when the Fed ends a 2-day policy meeting with Bernanke, the financial will be looking to the chairman to settle a confusion, as in they want to hear something from Bernanke. And what I heard before is he was resigning. Wasn't going to. He was done with it. It says, though, that some analysts think Bernanke will signal the investors that Fed has no immediate plans to curtail its stimulus, which at some point should, in theory, hold interest rates down because they were starting to creep up again. And we haven't heard a whole lot coming out of Europe at the European money market right now. Merkel and who's bailing who out, other than we did talk about, I think it was Cyprus again last week. Their news media just shut down. The government says, oh, this austerity program, so we'll just shut all the news off. Well, welcome to social networks. If you got an internet connection, you can do what you want to do until you get the kill switch. So the Feds may stop buying bonds, but it's expected to hold it to maintain its current holdings. There was an interesting. I don't have it. No, I didn't pull it in. There was an article or brain fart, whatever. Not interested. All right, let's take a look at what's going on over here. Where do you want to go? Let's go over to let's go over to Europe. Let's go to Albania and see what's going on in Albania. What's going on? The Albanian Connection. Discussion forums list and news distribution list related to Albania and Albanians. Let's see what their top story is today. Is there anybody home? Ooh, I wonder if they got taken offline. They're trying to connect. Whatever. I guess not. No sense wasting time there. So the Albanian Daily News is probably on. It's probably there we go. Albania plays an important role in NATO. Things cannot be done alone. What else is no short? Short, not a whole lot of news over there. Why do I just didn't expect anything different? And with that, I think I'm going to end early today. I have a ton of things to do. We're still working on the studio, trying to get some extra lights in here and another couple cameras that are supposed to be here today sometime. So I'm excited. We probably won't have them in for a week or so, but hey, I'm excited. I get new toys to play with. And the old saying, he who dies with the most wins. And with that, like I said, we will close our show with. No, I'm not. I'm gonna go come back over here. We've got I'm just scatterbrained today. Sorry. There, we ended this we ended our show last Friday with Fred Thompson, So God Made a Patriot. And I'm waiting. I really do hope that I get permission to use another person's what I consider to be an extremely spot on videos for our show. But Fred's given us permission to use this. I won't close today with this, but I will close with Becky Gerritson's testimony to the IRS. And if you'll notice how all of the news wires have now shifted all of their attention, an occasional comment on any testimony with the security leaks of information, the IRS, all of the fires that were out, the media has just totally turned their back on it. Now we're going to talk about all the things that aren't really all that important. But anyway, I think that this is something that every patriot needs to hear more than once. And so I'm going to play it again because I can. And with that, like I said, God bless. Take care of each other. After we bitch about everything, there's only us left over. So agree to disagree, but make it a better place. Have a great day and a better tomorrow. And I will see you tomorrow morning from the bunker at Lake Wisheyebego.
Our final witness is Becky Gerritson, president of the Wetumpka Tea Party in Alabama. Ms. Gerritson, you're recognized for 5 minutes.
Good morning. Thank you for inviting me to be here today. I'd like to begin with a brief statement. I know that you're primarily interested in hearing about the abuses of the Internal Revenue Service, but I believe it's critically important that you understand just not what these abuses were, but what exactly the IRS was trying to stifle. In order to paint a clear picture, I need to explain how the Wetumpka Tea Party came into being. My husband and I had never been involved in politics before 2008. We'd always been patriotic and deeply proud of our country. We've always felt that the United States is the greatest country in the world. In September 2008, when we had our first $700 billion bailout, we, along with millions of Americans, were very concerned. That bailout was confirmation that our government was out of control. But just a few months later, in January 2009, we learned that our government was going to spend another $787 billion. That money went to foreign nations, failing banks, and unproductive industries. We were worried, and we knew we had to do something to sound the alarm. We knew that government had gone far beyond its habitual deficit spending. The government was mortgaging America's future. And we knew that Washington wasn't going to stop by itself. In the spring of 2009, we learned that others were organizing Tea Party events around the nation to educate and empower concerned citizens who believed their government was out of control. So we made our plans. My husband and I filled out a permit to meet at a local park in our small town. My daughter and I walked through neighborhoods handing out flyers for our April 15th event. When the day arrived, we were blown away by the large crowd. A few politicians came also, but they didn't speak. We wanted to give ordinary citizens the chance to speak their concerns. Our event had no party affiliation. I could not tell you if the attendees were Republicans, Democrats, or Independents. It didn't matter. The only political notion expressed was one that we collectively felt, that our representative government had failed us. And that was the birth of the Wetumpka Tea Party. There are no dues, no price for membership. Our events are mostly educational. Whatever expenses are incurred are paid from donations, by donations and T-shirt sales. In Wetumpka, we are patriotic Americans. We peacefully assemble. We petition our government. We exercise the right to free speech. And we don't understand why the government tried to stop us. I'm not here as a serf or a vassal. I'm not begging my lords for mercy. I'm a born free American woman, wife, mother, and citizen. And I'm telling my government that you've forgotten your place. It's not your responsibility to look out for my well-being and to monitor my speech. It's not your right to assert an agenda. Your post, the post that you occupy, exists to preserve American liberty. You've sworn to perform that duty, and you have faltered. The abuses I will discuss today occurred on your watch, and it's your responsibility to make sure it doesn't happen again. Here are the facts of my case. We applied for a 501c4 in October 2010. Our $850 application fee was cashed 7 days later. We received a letter from Robert Cho dated November 2nd, 2010, stating that our application and our user fee payment had been received. It also stated that we should be expecting to hear from someone within 90 days. However, the IRS did not initiate any contact with us for another 459 days. That was when I received a letter from the Cincinnati office dated February 3rd, 2012. That letter stated that they could not process our application until we completed the enclosed questionnaire, which requested approximately 90 pieces of additional information about our organization. The questionnaire stated that if the additional information was not returned by February 24th, our case would be closed. The demands for information in the questionnaire shocked me as someone who loves liberty and the First Amendment. I was asked to hand over my donor list, including the amounts that they gave and the dates on which they gave them. 501c4 organizations do not have to disclose donor information. I knew that. Why don't they? Among the demands that I found alarming and inappropriate were, they wanted me to identify all of my volunteers. They wanted to know if any of our donors or volunteers had run or would be running for office in the near future. Remember, this was the 2012 election cycle. They wanted us to identify the office they would be running for. They wanted us to provide detailed contents of all speeches ever given, the names of our speakers and their credentials. They wanted copies of written communications and contents of all other forms of communications to any legislative body, including my own representative. I was very uncomfortable with these questions, as you can imagine, and my husband and I discussed forfeiting our application. However, within days of reading through these questions, we knew we were being targeted because fellow Tea Party organizers across this nation were getting the same types of letters and questionnaires. That was when we decided to seek legal counsel. On March 6th, 2012, we retained the counsel of the American Center for Law and Justice, and they represented us in this matter. 2 weeks later, I received a letter from Lois Lerner, dated March 16th, 2012, asking that I provide the previously requested information. 4 months later, we received a letter dated July 9th, 2012, stating that we had been approved to receive our tax exemption. This was 635 days after we applied. In conclusion, the Wetumpka Tea Party filled out a complete application. Our organization fell within the boundaries of receiving a 501c4 status. Yet, our application was singled out solely because we had Tea Party in our name. Government agents made invasive and excessive demands for information they were not entitled to. Congressman Camp and members of this committee, this was not an accident. This is a willful act of intimidation to discourage a point of view. What the government did to our little group in Wetumpka, Alabama is un-American. It isn't a matter of firing or arresting individuals. The individuals who sought to intimidate us were acting as they thought they should in a government culture that has little respect for its citizens. Many of the agents and agencies of the federal government do not understand that they are servants of the people. They think they are our masters, and they are mistaken. I'm not interested in scoring political points. I want to protect and preserve the America that I grew up in. The America that people cross oceans and risk their lives to become a part of. And I'm terrified it is slipping away. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
And on the 8th day, God looked down on his planned paradise and said, I need a defender. So God made a patriot. God said, I need somebody willing to sacrifice everything, his fortune, his sacred honor, even his life, for liberty and something called inalienable rights that he cannot see but knows he cannot live without. So God made a patriot. God said, I need somebody willing to ride a horse through sleepy towns in the dark of night, sounding the alarm, entreating neighbors to take up arms against an overwhelming force of wicked tyranny. So God made a patriot. God said, I need someone who, even after crushing defeats, rises up and stands tall. Someone who hears the clarion call that these are the times that try men's souls and does not shrink from the trial. Someone who will cross a frozen river in the dead of winter, when all logic and reason says turn back, abandon hope. So God made a patriot. Then God said, I need a man who knows of the rise and fall of great nations, who knows of human nature and the corrupting influence of power and the fragility of liberty. I need this man, along with his like-minded brethren, to write an enduring constitution. So God made a patriot. God said, I need a person, one person, who's willing to do whatever it takes, even write a book to confront injustice and spark a movement that would tear apart a people so that chains will rightfully be shattered and a blessed union eventually emerge. So God made a patriot. And God said, I need someone who, with the love of family and for the love of country, will cross a vast ocean and storm a heavily fortified beach, and, if he survives, charge through 200 yards of bullets and blood across that merciless beach, and, if he survives, scale the towering cliffs, and, if he survives, begin the long march to free a continent, and, if he survives, return home and, with the same resolute determination, rebuild a nation, and someday be called the greatest generation. So God made a patriot. And God said, I need someone who will, without thought of self, invest in schools and scouts and church and community, so that the proposition that all men are created equal remains a beacon to enlighten the world, and that such a beacon shall not perish from the earth. So God made a patriot. And God said, I need someone who will have the courage to not give up her seat on a bus and thus force a nation to confront its deepest divisions and heal the wounds and pursue the dream that inspires all hearts. So God made a patriot. And God said, I need someone strong enough to stand against any enemy, foreign or domestic, that would try to steal the freedom so dearly defended, the rights so righteously upheld, yet gentle enough to help a small child carry a star-spangled flag in a hometown parade. So God made a patriot. Then God said, I need a man who will speak the truth to his own leaders, that in order to preserve our great nation, we will not sacrifice the well-being of future generations for the sake of our own. Someone who will tirelessly toil day upon night, no matter the setback, no thought of surrender. Someone who will prayerfully rise every morning to climb the wall as a defender, duly endowed with the honored gift of generations before, while offering a solemn promise to generations ahead. A defender who will ensure that the way of truth and the torch of liberty remain forever lit in this shining city on a hill. So God made a patriot.
Today again suggested that I don't understand. It's true. There are some things I don't understand. Today,
any transmission, reproduction, or rebroadcast of this show is prohibited.
Will you shut up? I can't hear the song in my head.
Any transmission, reproduction, or rebroadcast of this show is prohibited.
That's all, folks.
Yeah, baby!